at the end of the day, it's still because of that message.
Yep.
Exactly. It's an economic message that tries to make people know what is this about.
Okay, so we're going live. Here's the deal. We're going to spend about 10 to 12 minutes talking about financial literacy. We're going to talk about budgeting. So we're going to keep it on the budgeting for about 10, 12 minutes. Then we're going to go to Scott, and we're going to let him talk a little bit about what's going on in his world. I'm going to go. Okay. Good morning, my Power 88 brothers and sisters. Welcome to another edition of the Black Book Half an Hour and Crew. First of all, let me start off by welcoming the crew and our special guest. Hey, Robbie, how's it going?
It's going well. Good morning, Las Vegas.
Okay, and next we have a special guest here, Scott Johnson. Scott, how you doing?
I'm good. Happy to be here, and thanks for having me.
Okay, great. Scott's going to take the second half of this half an hour to talk a little bit about some of the projects he's working on, specifically talking a little bit about the Moulin Rouge. We heard a lot about what's happening there. I'd like him, as one of the principal people, to kind of give us an update, and we're going to talk some more about that on the last 15 minutes. Mr. Crazon, the owner of Lord Land Films, how are you?
All right. I want to say that the newest Black Ice title will be on the black market on the Black Book. And also, we're also in the 2017 Nevada Production Directory put out by the Nevada Film Office.
Okay.
So stay tuned for everything that we're doing.
Great. And thanks for being a sponsor of the Black Book Half an Hour. All you other businesses out here, here's an opportunity to promote yourself on the Black Book Half an Hour. And last but definitely not least, the lovely Teresa Butts.
Good morning, Las Vegas. How are you? I'm your Legal Shield Beagle. I'm an independent associate with Legal Shield and always available to assist.
Great. Today, we're going to spend a little bit of time, the first part of this half an hour, talking a little bit about financial literacy. Now, we're going to be talking through the coming months about financial literacy. It's something we couldn't do in a half an hour, let alone an hour. But today, we're going to start the conversation talking about budgeting, both from the aspect of budgeting for your personal needs, but also budgeting for your business needs, because I've had people who have told me they are in business, and I ask them, do you have a personal budget? They'll tell me no. I'll say, do you have a business budget? They'll tell me no. And I'll tell them, guess what? You don't have a business. Because if you do not have a budget, it is the first phase of planning to succeed. And the mantra here is you either plan to succeed or you don't plan and fail. So who'd like to give a few startups on budgeting?
Well, first of all, I want to also sort of frame the conversation because having been in the financial service industry for over 20 years, also in the nonprofit realm, sitting with thousands of families over, a period of 20 or so years, one of the common themes that I saw was that people are always having trouble or issues around managing their money. And because not many people actually get educated around this issue, whether it's from the parents or from your formal education. We really have to spend time learning how to do that ourselves. So financial literacy is really important. You can make a lot of money. It doesn't matter that you make a lot of money. It's what you're actually able to keep that makes a difference, right?
Exactly.
So managing expenses, learning how to invest your money, to really know what an asset is versus a liability, right? So just having those commonsensical kind of understandings as to what these things mean and how they apply to you and how much it really matters for you to be educated so that over time you're able to not only live off what you make, but learn how to maximize what you make and learn how to plan for your retirement and some of the major life cycle events in your life. So.
Exactly. One of the things people don't realize, they think that when you are budget, you are limiting yourself. But in all actuality, when you budget, you free yourself to be able to buy and keep the things you like, to be able to go on trips, to be able to set yourself up for a retirement, so this goes on even after you have a job, even after you leave your job or your business. So budgeting, not just for the present, but for the future, is critical to your overall success. Anybody else?
Not just that. When you're budgeting, you have to think about your family too and your future. And one of the things with Legal Shield that we really stress the people that you need to do is get your will, because what you want to do is make sure that you're going to take care of not only yourself while you're alive, but make sure your family is prepared if something was to happen to you. Especially you want to think about if you have young kids. If you're in an accident tomorrow, your kids are left with nothing. They have no idea what to do, what you want it done. So it's very important to do that. And also, it doesn't take much to budget. I always think about what I need and what I want. And what I want can always wait. What I need, I try to make sure I take care of.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah. Just to piggyback on what she was saying, growing up in Arkansas, my grandfather used to always emphasize to us. He said, if it's not $5 or $1, always plan to save. In the construction industry, obviously, a budget is very important because we start each project with a budget, and we work off of that. So definitely, budgeting is something that's very important. Something I think that we definitely need to emphasize more, and that's.
Okay, great. You gonna say something?
Yeah. I take it in more of a practical terms, and I tell stories because of my previous business. I was a retailer, and an older retailer told me that you use your business as if it's the stock market. If you do hip hop, R&B, jazz, reggae, you have these different sections. You find out what works and what doesn't. You have a certain amount of money that you allocate to get product every 2 weeks. And then you look at what is sold, what hasn't, and then from there, you're able to determine your gains and your losses. And that's how you budget in. So I tell it like that. That might not exactly be what it is, but from just practical application and experience, I bring it that way and say that, that's budgeting.
Okay, great. Here's a thought. Again, the budgeting from your personal is important, but also from your business aspect. You most of us, if you want to have a business, it should be set up to sustain your quality of life and allow you to save. And many of us say, I'm in business. They go out and they pay for a business plan. And guess what, folks? That's somebody else's plan if you paid for them to write you a business plan. It doesn't have to be done in the format that somebody else does. It can be set up where I'm just saying, these are my goals. It should start from a monetary that says, this is where I want to be, a budget 6 months, 12 months, 2 years from now, so that you're able to say, have a plan to succeed so that you can modify it and go forward. But the start of a successful business, be that the business of running a business or the business of controlling your own personal finances, has to start with you understanding what is my income versus my expenses, and what do I have left over for savings. And part of that should be even insurance. You need to have life insurance. You need to set yourselves up so that we create generational wealth, and it should be in your budget. Guess what? Rather than spending $150 on Nikes, you could spend that money trying to take care of your family for the rest of your life and theirs. So again, budgeting is very important. And I'll tell you what, the Black Book, Half an Hour and Crew have started a financial literacy training. We're going to be doing training both with ourselves and with the churches of Southern Nevada to try to help everybody start off with phase 1, from budgeting to business budgeting to starting the business to credit repair and so forth. We as African Americans need to understand knowledge is power. Literacy will allow us to not head towards second-class citizens. And brothers and sisters, if we don't start to understand that the United States is a capitalist society, it runs on those people who understand the proponents of capitalism. And so if we don't, and we are illiterate when it comes to financials, then we have set ourselves and our families up to fail. So a couple of housekeeping I'm going to talk about. Oh, before I go, if you are interested in our financial literacy, you can contact myself, Brian Harris. You can You can either call or text me at either 708-805-3819. Again, 708-805-3819, or you can call or text me on 702-234-7473. Let me go. Do the 708-805-3819. Okay, a couple of housekeeping before we go to my friend, Mr. Scott Johnson. A shout out to Smitty's Pest Control. They are new on the Black Book. Smitty and I have known each other for a couple of years. They just finished spraying my house. He does it for me monthly because guess what? It's bug season. If you don't spray, then you know what? You're going to have visitors in your house this summer. Smitty is black owned. He is a very nice person. He's young. He gives you quality service. Definitely recommend him. If you want to get in touch with him, you can call him at 702-772-0772. Again, 702-772-0772. Again, Smitty's Pest Control. Welcome to the Black Book. And we look to grow better. I'd love to see this brother with 10 trucks. I told him I'd love to see him out there creating the kind of businesses that employ black folks. But guess what? If we don't go out of our way to support them, then they can't support our kids and our friends and everyone else.
Let me give a shout out to him. I've been using him now over a year and a half. Met him on the Black Book when he was there before. He's young. He's energetic. You don't have to ask him to come. He's contacting you.
Yep.
And that way he's going to be there before you need the service. He's calling you. So I want to shout out for Kenny at Pest Control. Outstanding young man, hardworking, and definitely a person we want to support.
Okay, great. And housekeeping. Mark your calendars. May 1st, we're going to start up First Friday again at Raw Remedies. Folks, we had a great showing at Eclipse Theater. Beautiful place. We had probably over 85 to 100 black people coming out to network and get to know each other and do business. As a matter of fact, I had people come by and say, man, I met this person and we're doing some business together. So we're going to keep this trend going and go to another black-owned business. It's called Raw Remedies. It's a beautiful place. They actually deal with natural hair care. But this lady is phenomenal. She has a compound unlike no other. When you go back there, it's set up for partying. You can enjoy yourself. It's got a stage. It's kind of eclectic. It's really cool. And it's a gathering for both young and old. And that's why we decided we're going to have it at Raw Remedies. We had some last year. They were great. So if you decide to, it's 203 East Colorado, Raw Remedies. I want you to consider coming out for First Friday. It's going to start at 5, go through about 9, 10 o'clock. We're looking for both event sponsors and booth sponsors. So if you're interested in selling your products or promoting your service, we expect to have a bunch of people out for First Friday. It's right down the street from the actual First Friday. We're going to have those bands, live bands. We're going to have like DJs. We're going to do probably a little spoken word. It's going to be a party in there. And actually, for those of us who do imbibe, there will be a bar. So the setup is this. We're going to have Miss Sierra Sparks White. She is Miss Black Teen Nevada. Invited her to come out from 5 to 7, and that's going to be geared towards the youth. To come out, meet her, come out. We're going to have some DJs. We're going to have some music. We're going to have some live music for the youth to come out and enjoy themselves and party. And then we're going to kind of slide into the old folks, grown folks, and start having some stuff starting after that, where we're going to try to recognize a couple of local nonprofits. Hopefully you've heard of MEMRA. MEMRA is located on the corner of Cary and MLK. A lot of us hear about Goodwill. There's not very few of them in our communities. And guess what? They're a for-profit company. Matter of fact, you'd be amazed how much the CEO of Goodwill makes. A couple $1 million. Yet we have places like MEMRA that are out here. They provide medical products and service. They had clothing, food, you name it, straight into our community. These are the people that we need to support. This lady has come out of her own pocket and took what was an eyesore on that quarter and made it beautiful. So we're going to recognize them. We're going to recognize AK's Closet. Obviously, AK is a comedian and a host here on Power 88. She's done phenomenal things, and it's come from her heart. She collects both clothing and hygiene and whatever people need in the community who don't have. And she does it because that's in her heart. And we need to come out and recognize AK's Closet, Memra, and last but not least, Wings. Wings is a women's empowerment nonprofit that was created by Bobby, the owner of Raw Remedies. She's doing some phenomenal things out there, working with women, trying to empower them, trying to uplift those folks. And we're going to have a chance to come out, network, and support these folks. It is a free event. Obviously, we will take donations to help support these groups. We're going to have some fun items. We're probably going to have a silent auction. More to come on this. We're going to have some food. We're going to have some free food. We're going to have just a good time. So mark your calendars, May 4th from 5 to 7. Now, we're going to spend the last time talking to my good friend, Mr. Scott Johnson. Scott and I actually met when I owned Maximum Refrigeration, and we worked on a couple of projects together with Richardson Construction, did a couple of fire stations there, and we got to know each other. Since then, Scott has gone on to do some phenomenal stuff. Some of us have heard bits and pieces about the Moulin Rouge. Now, I'm going to tell you something as I pass this on to him. No matter how this comes out, we need to appreciate folks who are risk takers, who are going to take that shot, who are going to try to revitalize and bring black-owned businesses to life and in the community, and are committed to try to use people who look like us. So I'm going to, without further ado, I'm going to switch over to Scott. Say, welcome, Scott. Tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Scott Johnson. I'm president of Las Vegas Moulin Rouge, LLC. Just to give you a little background on what's currently going on with regard to the Moulin Rouge, we're still in the purchase stages. Currently, I have a lease on the property. I don't think a lot of people realize it. We had a 4-year lease on the property to do certain things on there as far as demolition and to clean up the site. We're actually going to start the demolition process here in about another week. We have our current permits. We have asbestos reports, and so we'll start that phase of the project coming up. So regardless of, if the actual purchase was made, we are in the process of cleaning that location up and making it presentable. So I have a couple of other projects I'm working on that are probably pretty important also to the area. We're doing Desert Mesa, which was a failed housing authority project at the corner of Revere and Cary. There's 12 existing houses there. We're getting ready to start the demolition on that. And I'm working with KB Homes also to attempt to develop that property also. We have 3 medical marijuana buildings that we're currently working on. I'm proud to say that 75% of the workforce on those projects are African American.
Wow.
A lot of the relationships that I built over the years working with Richardson Construction, we brought those subcontractors on board to the point where we have a really good team, and we've been noticed around the valley, and so we actually got a few more projects just based on those relationships.
Great.
So there's a lot of stuff going on in my arena, and as far as what I'm looking to do and what I've always emphasized is to bring in sustainable jobs, and not just entry level jobs based on a lot of the I'd say locations on Martin Luther King, say for instance El Polo Loco. We want to develop jobs where they're sustainable. You can go out and further your career if you want to be involved in the construction industry. I've always, Brian has known, I've always made it a point to emphasize bringing in young African Americans to work on my projects. I did Lorenzi Park a few years ago, and if anybody came out, they saw that 80% of the people working on our project were African Americans.
Wow.
So,
And I commend you there, because one of the things we kind of miss is many times we go to the government and we ask the government to let us in. But we need more people like you who saying, you know what, I'm going to go out of my way because this is not a government project, and I can make those decisions on who my subcontractors are. I can make these decisions on who I'm working. Because if we can't lead by example to give them a reason to employ our people, then how can we continue to ask them to support us?
Right, absolutely. And that's one thing I always commend Mr. Richardson for. I worked for Richardson Construction for about 25 years. And he always would emphasize that point and say, hey, we need to get some young African Americans, working and training. Because if I wasn't given the opportunity, it just so happens that my family was always involved in construction. So I always knew I had a summer job doing construction, or either, when I got out of college, I knew I had a position waiting for me. But I was given an opportunity, and that's all. That's all it takes. If you got an opportunity, you can do it. You can build something for yourself.
Yep, and great. Just so you know, too, I worked for multiple. I used to own Maximum Refrigeration.
Absolutely.
And I did multiple jobs. And the funny thing is, I had a lot of African American HVAC employees working for me, because I also believe that, if you own and don't employ, then don't look for the advantages of being a minority-owned contractor.
Absolutely.
So, like I said, I appreciate you coming in, because I want people to understand these businesses, even the Moulin Rouge, you're talking about $100 million project. So let me rest assured, when you're an African American trying to deal with $100 million project, there are twists and turns, because none of us have $100 million in our pocket.
Absolutely.
It's very hard to get us to invest in these projects. So they've got, if you're an African American developer, you've got to go find money. And a lot of times it's soft money until it becomes hard money. There are people who step to the plate and then they pull off the plate.
I can only begin to tell you how many situations where we've had people say, oh yeah, I want to invest or do this or whatever. Come to the last minute, they change their mind. I've probably had this conversation hundreds and hundreds of times. But, you can't give up. I put a lot of effort and energy into it. But like I said, one thing I've always learned, I said, if you quit, you never know what's going to happen. But if you keep going, there's one or two things that can happen. And a lot of that is positive if you stay the course. One thing, I grew up on a farm in Arkansas. I mean, out in the middle of nowhere, small town, 500 people, whatever. One of the things that was always instilled in me was a work ethic. I had 6 uncles. My mom has 6 brothers. They were, they all were, had their own businesses or involved in some form or fashion. But they always worked hard. That's what I always saw. That's the example I give to my son. I say, hey, do whatever it takes to get the job done. It's never going to be a situation where I'm going to quit. There's several times, in dealing with the Rouge, we've been involved with this since November of 2015. Plenty of times we could have walked away, did other stuff and stuff like that. But I'm not wired that way. I'm wired to, once I start something, I'm here to finish it. And I'm not going anywhere, trials and tribulations, fighting with the city, all this other kind of stuff. I'm not going anywhere. Yep. So, it is what it is.
And my thing to my brothers and sisters who listen to this, when you see a person like Scott, give him some positives. If you got something negative, keep it to yourself, because you don't understand the trials and tribulations a person goes through to try to make a project like this happen and to try to get to the point where we are employing our own. It is not an easy road. As a matter of fact, most people were told, man, if you go another road and you forget about those folks, you can be a multimillionaire. We need to understand, we need to support people like this. There are a lot of what I'm going to call hidden heroes that are out here trying to do phenomenal things with a tough road ahead of them.
You've actually been in the business for 25 plus years. You've obviously achieved some level of success. If you were to give advice to some of the young up and coming developers, what advice would you give them in terms of being able to stick around for as long as you have and being able to continue to do great things like you're doing now?
I'd say seek out a mentor. Yep. Mr. Richardson was always a valuable person I could always lean on. I mean, he's always there. I talk to him every week, still to this day. I hadn't worked for him since, 2012. But he's someone I could always call and lean on and get advice from. I have family members, you need a support group, basically. you're going down a lonely path. I mean, when you're trying to secure millions and millions of dollars, there's not a whole lot of people out there willing to give that to you. You're basically going to say, hey, give me some money for a house. I don't know how I'm going to give it back to you, but if you can just give me that money, we'll be okay. So that's basically my situation at all times. But like I said, seek out a mentor that can help you. And I encourage all the businesses, to reach out to young people. The youth are our future.
Absolutely.
And we have to, in order to ensure that we carry on, we have to make sure that they're given the right direction and the tools to utilize it. I try to talk and speak to as many people as I can to tell them, I said, there's not a whole lot of us involved in the field or whatever. I said, but, construction and development is a very lucrative field.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's why one of the things is we got to stop worrying about minimum and
Absolutely.
start looking for those, training ourselves to be at maximum.
Right.
And it comes back to changing our thought.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes back to us starting to trust each other and starting to reach out and work for people.
Yeah.
A lot of times we have been, we have been brainwashed, again, miseducation, to believe it doesn't matter who we do business with, or to believe that we need to go for the cheapest route instead of supporting our own. Let me tell you something. The Jewish community doesn't go for the cheapest. They go for their community first.
Right.
Let me say that again. They go for their community first.
So it's the Asian.
And so does the Asian community. We have to start with that mindset.
Right, and just to piggyback on that, I just returned from Southern California for some meetings, and basically what you're saying, I said I met with a Jewish group, and just how they do business and how they do business with each other, just it amazes me, and how they put everything together. Those are things that like you said, miseducation. Those are things that we don't necessarily do. I've over the past couple of years, I've done some projects in the Asian community. Also, same thing. The way they do business, it's amazing, and how they all can work together. You don't hear anything negative, like, oh, okay, this guy's doing this or whatever. Oh, we don't want him to do this and this. You don't hear that. What they do, they take a project, they put it up on the board. They say, you getting this percentage, you getting this percentage. Let's move forward. Whatever your area of expertise, that's what you bring to the table, and they move forward and they get the projects done. We spend a lot of our time, and I hate saying this, the crab in the barrel thing. I mean, fighting. That back and forth, even on this project here, we've had some situation where we've been going back and forth instead of all of us coming together and let's say, hey, let's do this project together. I'm gonna tell you something that has really irked me. Reverend Rogers' project up on Martin Luther King, the church that's not finished up there. I keep hearing it. Oh man, he ran out of money, this and that. Instead of saying that, why don't we all get together and say, hey, let's go over and help him build his church. When I was in Arkansas, the community I'm from, a very tight knit group, we had a situation like that. We come over there, somebody barbecue, bring the beer, or whatever. We'd all be over there trying to help him, not chastise and say, oh, look what happened to him and this and that. No, we should be trying to help each other.
Yep, and we should try to build it with people who look like us.
Absolutely, because everybody else is doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah. We're the only group that has the situations that we are in. I mean, like I've worked with like I said, the Asians and other groups, and to watch them, how they pull together and get projects done, I'm like, man, I wish I could take this back to my community and we could do stuff like
exactly. Hey, we're kind of getting towards the end of the road, but again, this was our surprise guest, and Scott, I appreciate you. He dropped what he was doing, just got in town. I asked him to come by and talk a little bit about what's going on. The Black Book Half an Hour, this is what we're about. We're about black economics. We truly believe that if we unite, we're a closed fist that cannot be beat, cannot be stopped. We're a $1 trillion industry. We spend $1 trillion. That means we help everybody else's economies tremendously. But since we spend less than 2% on ours, we're at the poverty level, folks, because of us. When we start to look in, when we start to use people like Scotty's Pest Control, when we start to eat at black-owned restaurants, when we start to buy our clothing from black-owned businesses, we will see a change in Black America. So once again, I thank you for listening in to the Black Book Hour. Please download the Black Book. Please look at the black market on the Black Book so you can buy products from black businesses and services. Once again, buy black, be black. I'll see you on First Friday, May 5th.
I came you off.